Okay, guys, just give me a second. We're about to become live. My goodness. Okay, guys. My goodness. Welcome to Ron's. Oh my God, I can't believe how anxious and nervous I am about this. But welcome to the very, very first live of 2021. Guys, thank you very much for joining me on this live that I'm actually, so excited of doing. I mean, like, I'm surprised that I'm actually getting this far of doing the live, and there's going to be a lot of trips on the way because believe it or not, I'm actually doing this for the very first time using OBS, and OBS is like totally new for me. I mean, like, I would usually have in other better times my son helping me out, but he's not here tonight. So basically, I really am solo. And why is it there's a fly in here? There's always something that's going to interrupt it. Well, anyway, you know, if you've actually seen me on my Instagram, basically I'm always co-hosting with Shane, and Shane, he has his vapor, and I kind of believe that he uses his vapor to, like to chillax while he does his lives. And my wife basically, I don't vape, I don't vape and I don't drink. So she gave me like the strongest thing that that could probably help me out. And I know it's a girly drink and stuff, but this is actually what I'm gonna use to see, during the actual live. It's gonna help me chillax. This, and I have actually something to sip on, as a matter of fact, and make me look a little bit more. I don't know if it would be interesting is the right word to say, if anything. But yeah, guys, again, thank you very much for showing in. And like I said, this is new. This is really new. And just to let you know, I do have a chat out here. Let's see if chat. Let's wait to see. I'm trying to see if I can. Give me 1 second. Well, while I work this out, because I'm trying to add in the chat, and for some reason, I'm not seeing the chat here. Let's see if I can actually cut into it. And no, it's not giving me the chance. Let me see if I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna troubleshoot while we're doing. Like I said, this is live, and I can't believe. Let's see, properties. I'm gonna have to go to. I know what it is. Again, please forgive me. Let's see if I can open up the live chat. Yeah, I see the regular chat here. I want to actually transfer this over to. Let's see if I can actually find where it is. Let's see, live chats, pop out chats. Give me a second, please. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm troubleshooting on the spot. And copy. Let's close that down. And let's see if we could put this right here. Oh wow, this is like properties. Give me 1 second. Oh my goodness. Again, please forgive me. Like I said, this is my very first time actually using this and applying it. Let's see if I can actually get. Let's see. Let's see if that actually worked. Let's cut it back in here. Let's see if we get some. Oh my goodness. If not, I'm gonna have to actually just read it off of YouTube. But I'm trying to actually, I don't know why. I wanted to actually put it in here in the OBS. This is, I guess, something that is just gonna have to work on the spot. Well, anyway, I can switch over to YouTube Studios. I could switch over to Studios, and I could see basically Lou Balls. How are you doing? Gomez, my God, thank you very much for stopping in. Shane, what can I say? I mean, like, you're not here to hold my hand, and right now I'm doing this solo, and you have no idea how terrified I am. And the thing is, I'm so used to. I'm so used to talking in front of the camera and Instagram, and basically on my regular channels within YouTube. But actually, this is the first time, and I really don't understand. Look, did it actually open? Wait a second. Let me switch back to OBS because that's. Yes, I am seeing the delays. My goodness, it's it's delayed. I mean, like I guess that's what it is. It's delayed and stuff. That's what it is. Okay, guys, please. Like I said, this is really is. I mean, like it's so funny. I mean, like I've been doing videos for quite a while on YouTube, and actually doing a live and trying to do a setup with this. And I wanted to make it entertaining. I really did want to make it entertaining because it's not a point of basically you just looking at me and me going off and going off a topic and finding something to talk about. I really, really wanted to make it entertaining and give you a little bit of history. For those of you that are subscribed to my channel, I thank you very much. And I forgot to say this in the opening. Let's see if I could actually put this in here and fade that in there. Ron again from BBM Reptiles. Let's do this proper. This is, I spent all day. I spent all day actually, trying to work with this. I think it's called a pro deck or something like that, but I got to go back to my son. Yeah, the bandana. I know the bandana stuff like that. The thing is this. Since I got the beard, I wanted to go full pirate. I was like, arr. I mean, like, there is kind of a pirate in the Smirnoff, the regular drink, not the girly, green apple drink. There's no pirates on that, but maybe I don't know. I thought I saw a commercial. Is it? I know I saw a Smirnoff commercial that there's a pirate. No, there's that Captain Ron. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, the bandana is just making it complemented the beard to give me that pirate look, And once in a while, I go like, arr. Anyway. Yeah, guys, again, hello from Sweden. My goodness, thank you very much. Wiz Constrictor, my brother, how are you? How are you? Let's see who else. Like I said, the chats. As a matter of fact, let me cut this back over here. Let me fade into the chat because I want to actually see, so you guys can see this because I want to make sure that it's in there. But like I said, my goodness, I'm rambling. I'm rambling. Let me take a shot of my girly drink actually. See if this calm me down. I mean, like if I had a vape pen. I know it's not gonna do anything for me either, but cheers. Damn, that's strong. You sure this is green apple? It's green apple, but again, I don't drink. I don't really drink. So, if you ever, catch me at a show or an event, don't think that I'm a power drinker. I really am not. Okay, Danielis, how are you? And Jacob, bendito Dios te bendiga. Within this, you're gonna see me switch languages. This is gonna be a bilingual live actually. I'm gonna do because I asked family members and stuff like that to jump in once in a while and stuff to help me out. So you're gonna see me jumping in from English and Spanish. And it's funny. I'm gonna do that Ricky Ricardo thing. When he's talking to Lucy, then he pisses off and goes into Spanish. I might do something like that, but I got no one to get pissed off on. But anyway. Okay, guys, the reason, what I wanted to do, I wanted to actually, because I was very fortunate. I was very, very fortunate to be able to be on the 15 Minutes of Lame, opening up the first one this year. And a even bigger pleasure was not only the fact of being on that, but that Shane Kelly, my brother in the hobby, actually won. And he chose me to be the opener for his segment. He could have chosen anyone or left it over to Chris. And for Shane to take that step and say, I would love to have Ron in there. And Chris, he had a schedule. He really did have a schedule. And Chris did at one time reach out to me and told me eventually he did want me in the lineup for 2021. And because obviously when Shane finally, he pulled it in at the end, he requested specifically me, and I got to thank you for that. And because I had 15 minutes, it's funny because on that 15 minutes, you got that buzzer at the end. And the funny thing is, the funny thing out of all of it, if you haven't had a chance, go hit Snakes and the Fat Man on podcast. And I know I spammed the I spammed it all over. I really spammed it all over and stuff like that. But you got to hit the last episode. But the thing is, 15 minutes, it goes that quick. And the thing is, the first question that Chris Eaton asked me, how you know Shane? I was like, dude, I only got like 15 minutes. You got 2 hours for him. If I'm on a buzzer and stuff like that, let me just, open up a little bit more about, what I'm doing. Not no offense, but I mean, like 15 minutes went that quick. And not only that, I mean, like he jaboning me at the end. I mean, like he pulled the rock and that thing, and then he told me, "Cállate la boca." And cállate la boca. I was like, dude, it reminded me seriously when I was a kid growing up in New York. And usually when, this is like the rule of thumb. This really was a rule of thumb, especially when you were growing up. I grew up in New York City, and New York City is a melting pot. It's a melting pot. There's so many different cultures. You got so many different languages. I mean, like you got the Italians, you got the French, you got the Chinese, Japanese, Spanish, Germans, Jewish. I mean, like you have them all. And something that I learned, obviously, is that in that city that's multicultural and you have so many people, the first languages that you learn are usually the bad ones. Because when someone starts mouthing off you in whatever language it is, you usually just come up with what, the first thing that everyone learns. So I figured, Chris, as long as he was living in New York, I mean, the farthest in Spanish he got was "cállate la boca." And when he told it to me, I was like, take it back. I was like, whoa. I kind of felt like my grandmother was, actually stopping me in my spot. But then again, like I said, it was only 15 minutes. I couldn't go longer than that. Let's see. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Yeah, he is. Yeah, let me actually go back to the main screen, because basically let's change this over here and fade out of the chat just for a second, because I want to set something up over here. This is something that I actually, wish I had a chance to do, but within 15 minutes, there was a lot of questions that Chris threw out at me. There was a lot of questions. And I know that basically with that 15 minutes, it leaves a space open for even more questions. And I know maybe I'm missing my chance for the my 2 hours of lame just doing this, basically, because I'm actually telling you, well, I'm not going to tell you all the story. I'm not. But I just want to give you a little idea of what it's like as a reptile keeper and breeder from where I am, which is here in Puerto Rico. Because that was like, I couldn't believe the questions I was getting from Chris, that he was surprised about what morphs we are working with, or if we have high end, or if there is even a market. And I actually prepared something. Use it OBS. Oh my God. So you're gonna see this. You're gonna see this, and I want to actually take you through just basically what it is. Like I said before, I go into other topics. But remember, this is the very first live, so I'm gonna leave a lot for future lives. But like I said, I want to make sure that I'm making it as entertaining as I can possibly make it. Okay. Now the question was, is there actual a market here in Puerto Rico? And I've been breeding for about 8 years. No, I'm sorry. I have been, no, now we're 9 years, but I've been actually within the hobby for about 9 years, because now we're in 2021. Breeding, I would say comfortably, the first one, it was a shared project, basically, because I was actually starting out with someone else. And I don't actually consider that a real season as I can claim as my own. So that year I actually don't count it. That's why I usually say 7 years. And I mean, like, I want to actually walk it through you just to see, so you can see an idea actually what we have. Now, what I presented here, Curtis, how you doing? Good evening, Curtis. Like I said, I'm reading the remarks, believe it or not. Yeah. But like I said, once I get, and I say this a lot, once I'm on my soapbox, it's really hard to get me down from it. Okay. Going back to, I want to show you a little bit of history of basically what it was here in Puerto Rico. And set this up here, and we started out basically with the first, oh my goodness, this is the first expo. I believe it was around 2014, and then the 2015 one, we actually had Brian invited. He didn't really show up, but then we went to 2016, and I mean, like, it was incredible just seeing so many great people and the attendance. And really, I mean, like, it blew up. And we have quite a few of them. As a matter of fact, Breeder Circle came down here. They vended two of our expos. And it all started for myself. That was my very first ball python. And starting out, I mean, like, Even buying my first rats, I'd have to like drive hours. And you could see the simplest collections. That's what I was just starting with. From there, seeing the transition, getting my son involved, he was actually explaining, even taking snakes to his school and talking about ball pythons. And I mean, like, it came kind of like a deception to me that everything, was related with ball pythons to the point that, within the hobby, you start making friends and, start working together. And, you know, that was basically more or less in reality here. There are a lot of people that are working with ball pythons, and shipping to the states is no difficult than basically what it would be shipping within the states. For example, you use FedEx. Here in Puerto Rico, we use Delta Dash, and it's basically as making reservations on Delta Airlines, and using, let's put this back over here, the chat, so I can actually see it also. We can actually use the opportunity of shipping animals out besides selling within. Marisol, how are you? Yes, my beautiful sister's in there. My son, how are you? As a matter of fact, it's funny. I told my son to help me out with the what's up. I'm using him to help me to make sure that I'm actually showing what I'm supposed to be showing here. But anyway, going back to what it is here, I mean, like, it took me years to actually build up from that one snake, which was a pastel, and working my way up during the years. It made transitions. It really did make transitions, even to a personal level, even to the personal level that I got the greatest opportunity to actually go to my very first Tinley. I mean, like, seeing that on YouTube and seeing all the breeders and meeting up with them, it was incredible. It was incredible, and I was actually starstruck. Seeing Brian Cusco. I gotta make sure I say that right because he called me up the last time. Kevin McCurdy from Nerds, Garrett Demeyer, Ozzy, Justin. I mean, like, there were so many incredible breeders, and on top of that, there were breeders that were starting out. And one of them that took me back was basically a father and son that was at that show. And when I saw the setup was incredible. It was beautiful. And I started talking with the father, and he told me this was his son's first actual vending in Tinley, his very first. And what he had on the table was really impressive. I mean, like, he had dreamsicles. He had a wide array of different combos on that table. But the thing is, that single person, he wasn't the biggest breeder, but he was a young person with an inspiration from, like I said, so many big breeders that it brought him there to Tinley to actually vend. And having the full support of his father, by his side, it was like, what more can you can actually say about this hobby? It's that incredible. Let's see. I did it, and Ron's helped me out, and it was pretty easy, at least for me in New York. Gomez, I'm sorry, I'm missing a lot of these comments. I know it's a delayed, but I'm seeing most of them, and it's gonna be. Let me see if I can actually switch over between OBS and the actual live because I am seeing a lot of comments. But yeah, it's really to the point that during the transition and everything, where you get to and how you get there. Another question that Chris Eaton, he actually asked me. He was talking about how do we do our racks, or how do we get our racks. Now, I mean, like, I really wish that we had the benefits of acquiring the ARS or even the Freedom Breeders, but shipping to Puerto Rico is extremely expensive because usually for those of you that actually picked up or purchased from ARS or Freedom Breeder, that basically it's on the back of a truck. I mean, like, you got the pallet, and they put it on that pallet, put it in the truck. They'll drive cross country, and they'll take it wherever. We're a small island surrounded by lots of water. So basically, to get it on a cargo ship and have it shipped over here, it'll be the cost of the shipping would go beyond the actual cost of the racks. So as you can see behind me, These are racks. These actual racks behind me were racks from people that were in the hobby way before me. And during the time that I've actually stayed in it, some kept within the hobby, others actually found other ventures. And I guess basically they've sold off their racks at a point, and I grabbed them up. That's basically, I mean, like, I'm really excited about this. This is a pastime hobby for me, and something that I've been doing, and this is something I actually mentioned when I was talking at Snakes and a Fat Man, when he asked me basically how much did I personally invested and what did I actually come back with. And that's always been the question. That's always been the question within ball pythons. And it's always about money. It's, a lot of people think that overnight they're going to be an instant millionaire. And I'm sorry, I should have oiled this chair. And, that is a misconception, honestly. I mean, like, it could take you, I mean, like, I'm not saying that there's not that possibility, but it could take you to a point that maybe you could see something, but you really do have to put in the work. I mean, like, it's going to take time. It's not an overnight sensation. And I know we're seeing great breeders, and they're talking about what they're producing. But remember, they had years. They had years building up their collection. Heck, even way before, I even started thinking about ball pythons. So, and it's not a point of even trying to catch up with them, because that's the thing. If you set your expectations so high that you want to actually be Ozzy, I don't know if you remember that old 90s commercial. You want to be just like Mike, or everyone wants to be like Mike. In this hobby, I mean, like, we have so many people to admire. But I would say it's easier just to admire the time that it took them to get to where they are, and not expect that for yourself if you're starting out with a collection and think overnight that's going to happen. I mean, like I said, I mean, like, in that interview, I mean, like, heck, think about it. I talked about I only invested personally out of my own money when I started within the time around $8,000, and the return I got back was only $35,000 within 8 years. And that might not seem a lot, but to be honest with you, if you're only investing that much, and I gave myself a specific cutoff point, because I did see at one point, because I was going crazy buying up snakes, to the point that I looked at each snake. As a matter of fact, I remember one time I bought a pair of orange dreams. And it was like the biggest mistake, because, you're starting out. And that mistake that I did was I bought the pair. I bought a male and a female. And when I bought them, they were $1,000 each. And this was like only my first year. I think that was my fourth snake that I actually purchased. When you're a beginner and you're starting out with the first snake, like I said, I bought a pastel. And I was nickel and diming that pastel. 8 months down, to actually even consider investing that high, that's the thing. That's the point that I made to Chris. All it does is all it takes is a normal. All it does is take a pastel, and once you have that single gene morph as you're starting out, you start going into YouTube, you start going into Facebook, you start going to different areas, and you start seeing there's a lot more to this. So then you want to start you want to say, you know what, I want that combo, or I want that project, or I want that specific snake. And I remember when I purchased that snake, I had my kids swear if their mother ever asked how much I wasted on that snake, just to say it was $200. It was like $100 each snake. And true to the word, as soon as I got back home, I went with my boys. She hit him up. She questioned him right on the spot. How much did he waste? It's like $200. And she turned her head like the demon seed. She went, vroom. She went crazy. She went crazy. And she gave me that look. And she even screamed at me, you wasted $200 on snakes? How? And she gave me that 15-minute lecture. It actually felt like an hour, but it was a 15-minute lecture, in front of the boys. And I looked at them and I said, I told you, because it was a long drive, where I picked up that snake, till I got home. So I prepared them. And I looked at them. And, growing up today, that's a funny story that, they even tell me. And now she knows how much I wasted at that time, but it was like my first year. But think about that. That was like 9 years ago, and I would look 3 years later, I'd buy another snake. And I would look at those snakes that I bought, and I'd look at that snake and I'd say, like, wow, right there could have been a vacation. Right there could have been, I don't know, a big TV, or or I could have bought something for my children or something. I'm looking at that snake, and I'm trying to justify, why did I actually spend the amount that I did for the collection that I had at that point. So, it came to a point that I said, you know what? And when I reached that 5 year limit, that's why I say it took me a while. It took me a while. When I reached that 5 year point, I made a promise to myself. I made a promise to myself that out of my pocket, I can't justify investing more and more and more snakes. I couldn't justify it, because I mean, like, not that basically we were starving. It wasn't. I was never to the point that I had to decide if I had to pay the rent or buy a snake. I never got to that point. And I know there's some really cool memes on Facebook, saying how the tires of your cars are bald, but there's a new snake that just came out, and I totally agree with that. And this is a mentality that a lot of us ball python keepers or hobbyists, we have. I mean, like, if we got a blowout on our car, let's say your tire or anything like that, and we're thinking, God, I gotta waste like $100, $200 on a new tire, and we're crying and we're like busting our head, and we're thinking about, I don't know, maybe I could drive on it, you know. But you see a combo on Morph Market, at that time while you're waiting for that tire to change, $3,000. You're like, oh my God, I'm gonna send a message. I want that snake. Dude, can you do 250? You know, and we won't hesitate. We won't hesitate. I mean, like, we'll hesitate, for basic things that we really actually do need, but we won't hesitate, when we see something, online or on Morph Market. So that's why I kind of said that I had to do, for me personally, I stopped at 5 years. And from there, I said, if whatever I produce, because what I was actually doing was I was building up my own collection. And with that, the good thing about, being active within your local community, within your local area, is that, like I said, you get in contact with so many people. And you can actually use whatever snake that you actually produce, and you could use it as barter. In other words, you can use it as a trade for another snake. And basically, when you look at it, you have a new snake that you didn't already have in your collection because you already had an extra. Let's say the Orange Dream, for example. I was making Orange Dreams left and right, and someone else didn't have Orange Dream. And from that trade, I probably got an Enchi Calico head pie, just to give you an example. And that was part of the buildup. That was actually part of the buildup to actually get to the point, because I wasn't using, I was not using, I made, like I said, I was really, really firm with that, because like I said, I'm looking at my kids grow, and, I want to spend time with them. I want to do things with them. I want to take them on vacation, because these are memories that, we're building, and I'm inheriting, or I'm actually passing on so they can have it, because I don't want them growing up and say, Dad wasted every year the money on snakes, and he never took us to Disney, or we never went to New York, or we never went area, or he never took us to Ponderosa. I mean, Ponderosa. Let me take a shot of this in a second. But yeah, honestly, going back to that, that's how it actually took me longer to start seeing that what I was producing. And from there, I started saving up money. It took me a while, but I started making better combos. And while I was making better combos, I would reinvest whatever I made back into more snakes that would actually help me out in the next seasons. Now, remember, I was building up my collection, and the most important thing of building up a collection is you got to be heavy female. You got to be female heavy. Because when it comes to the point that you're going to start investing in a snake, the quickest way to probably to see the return back is having the most powerful male that you can afford at that time. And you have the pick of the female because they're already adults. You already raised them up. And whatever you produce, obviously you have your holdbacks and you have something to sell. With that, basically, I that's why I say it's been a slow growth. I mean, like I said, you hear on other segments on 15 Minutes Alive when you say like someone invested like 100 and they made 200 back or anything like that. Um, Remember, I am in Puerto Rico and I am limited, but even with that limitations of as a beginner hobbyist, because like I said, I'm not saying this is a business. As a beginner hobbyist, I decided basically, at one point, like I said, I had to take it slow. These past 2 years is when I finally started making enough to actually started investing a little bit more high end. Actually, was it 2 years, 3 years? Yeah, 3 years. I started investing a little bit more high end in my snakes, but like I said, it was from what I was actually selling, and to the point. I mean, like now I made a transition just recently because I would see those YouTube videos. I mean, like I'm making my own YouTube videos, and I would see the racks. I mean, like I love seeing how beautiful Freedom Breeder racks in the background. They look beautiful. I mean, like especially when you pull out that stainless steel mid table. I mean, like I said, we're looking at Justin and we're looking at Billy. But like I said, going back to what I was talking about earlier, you know, if you go back to if you're a real diehard JKR fan, and I'm gonna shout him out, and I'm sorry, Justin, if I am shouting you out. If you are a hardcore JKR fan, then you must have watched his beginnings. And you see that video, that nerdy little kid with the glasses, that little skinny kid, has his little rack collections and stuff in his bedroom. And the story of basically how he was breeding snakes while he was in the university to where he is now, it's a huge leap. And you just got to remember, there was a lot in between that. There was a lot of history. There was a lot of work. There was a lot of dedication. So if I see Justin's video now and I see him with his freedom breeders and I mean, like you said, it's wall to wall. I mean, like I said, I mean, like I can't expect to compare with that because I have an abysmal. And the point that I'm trying to get that is for those people that are starting out. As a matter of fact, most of my comments or most of my video, it's geared mostly towards new people within the hobby. And the reason why it's geared mostly towards new people in the hobby is because even though I've been working with this 8 years, I am extremely new. I am extremely new. And within the time that I've been in this, there's been other breeders locally that they would basically, like I'd say, just abandon the project because they found other ventures. And I saw within that circle, other people were following suits. And at one point, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to. I don't want to keep breeding ball pythons. And then I saw right there, wait a second, my motivation shouldn't be other people, other breeders and stuff. My motivation should be basically myself and what I'm producing. And that's when I actually kicked it into high gear. And now is when I'm seeing not only with what I'm producing, but it's actually helping me to be able to reinvest in even more higher end snakes and starting to work towards better equipment. That was a conversation I had with Shane, as a matter of fact, on our Instagram lives. Now, you see the racks behind me. I'm in the transition of doing something that's a little bit outside the box. And what I mean by outside the box is, everyone who starts out, especially I would say within the United States and obviously here in Puerto Rico, the go-to tubs that everyone uses are Sterlite tubs. You have your hatchling tubs, they're 6 quarts. And then basically you have your adults, which are the 41 quarts. And those are the go-to tubs for everyone. I mean, like everyone actually starts out with that. Way before, They even get to the point of ARS and freedom breeders. So going back to thinking outside the box, and cost effective and everything, I say, wait a second. If I can't get the racks down here, the next best thing I could do is just buy the tubs. I'll buy freedom breeder tubs, or I'll just buy ARS tubs, and I'll just have them build the racks around the tubs that I could actually buy, and just basically, it's an additional shipping. My goodness, I actually did it with the freedom breed, not the freedom breeders. I'm sorry, I did it with the visions, the visions 11 quart tubs actually. I contacted, because this is a conversation. I did it on a live on Chino's channel, DMJ, and he just recently built a rack, and the tubs that he used, he bought up the Reptile Basics, and I saw those tubs and I was like, oh my goodness, that would be perfect. And what I went ahead and I contacted Reptile Basic. Obviously, they don't ship to Puerto Rico. So I did the best thing I could. I basically had it shipped to my son in the States, and I had him mail it to me. Now, the cost was obviously, the shipping alone was actually more than what the actual tubs cost. That's so just to give you an idea. And I said, you know what, since I am expecting, or I'm hoping for, as a matter of fact, if I get that Shane Kelly, that Irish luck, that he gets 10 or 13, clutches per snakes. If I actually get that, well, I got to prepare myself at least with a different rack. So I went ahead and I bought the Reptile Basic 11 quarts. And I went to that person. Like I said, I've been with this, like I said, around 9 years, but there's been people even longer than me within this hobby. A lot more longer. And this is an example of, I would say, how they were building their racks. So I gave them the time. Elite Exotics, how are you? I received the rack. I received the tubs, and I gave it to the person, and I had him build me a rack. And I want to show that to you right here. Let's see if I can actually put this in here. This is the actual build of the, and this is for my future hatchlings that I expect to actually get this season. Something like, for example, Shane recently did on his channel. He bought a new freedom breeder rack, obviously because he's expecting more snakes. Well, you got to do the same. So these are, like I said, this is Reptile Basics, the tubs, and when I gave it to the person to work with, I gave him the specifications, and as a matter of fact, it looks like a regular, the Vivarium Electronics racks that they use. And I specifically, I wanted black, and this is the design that I want for my adults. And he did, like I said, this person's been actually building racks for ages here in Puerto Rico. So he has the experience of building, and as years goes on, he ups his games and he makes it even better. Now, this rack, it's heavy, and he actually put wheels on the bottom of it. You can't even see it, but he made it so perfect that you can actually, it's flush under it, and he put that 2-ply on the bottom just to hold the weight so the wheels won't crush in. And as you can see, compared to the old tub, which is a 6 quarts, versus what I have now, 11 quarts, it's a better hold actually for the snakes. So that same concept that I actually did for my hatchling right there is for my holdbacks. That specific rack that I made was going to be for my projected holdbacks for this year. Now, why I say projected holdbacks is because I'm working hard with the triples and doubles and quad head recesses, and that means it's going to be a lot of holdbacks. But like I said, I'm not in it to look for it on the short run. I'm in this for the long haul. And this is funny because I had this conversation with Earl from Lone Star, and he has the same thought process, and we talked about this. Maybe when we actually hit on the four visuals or 5 visuals, the 5 visuals, or the quads, or whatever you might call it in combo, at least I could pass it on to my son and he can continue and he'll have a hell of a head start. He'll have a heck of a head start with the projects that, if anything, if I can't, see them through, because they will take a few years to actually hit on it. But that's the path that I'm taking, because I'm seeing where the hobby is geared. And before, when I first started, it was actually stacking genes one on top of the other, and then it made a transition to working recesses, and from recesses, double recesses, and then basically triple recesses. But you're still seeing recesses and combos. You see beautiful firefly combos, the Pompeii. I mean, there's so many great combos. But I don't want to follow that path. I chose I didn't want to follow that path. I don't want to make a Pompeii. I want to make a Pompeii pied, or a Pompeii puzzle, or a desert ghost Pompeii. You know, that's what I'm shooting for. That's actually where I'm geared for, and my mentality, where I want to take this hobby. And believe it or not, I'm not that far off, because, like I said, I thought about that 3 years back. So I've been working my double heads 3 years back. I actually made my very first double visual recessive this year for the very first time. Now, with this breeding season, I'm hoping to make my first triple visual. Fingers crossed. But these are growths that I'm talking about. That it's going to take time. It's going to take time to get there. And don't overestimate your specific projected path. I mean, like, look at the logo that I have on the bottom. I said, "Welcome to your journey." Because that's exactly what it is. It's your specific journey. It's what path you decide to take. But you got to start taking it. If you get put off because you might see a project is too far off, it's even farther if you don't actually start the journey of working whatever project you decide to work with. But that's basically the mentality that I'm actually trying to take it to. And yeah, guys, my goodness, Patrick, how are you? Patrick May, I'm sorry, how are you? Let me look at the comments here real quick, because I am, like I said, once I'm on that soapbox, it's really hard to get me off it, and I'll veer off the comments, and I'm sorry, and I'm seeing it in there, but I'm going basically really really hard through it. But yeah, guys, I want to, before I actually start signing off, because, oh my God, like I said, once I'm on that soapbox, it's hard to get me off, and I don't want to drag this on too much. But this is my very first live that I actually did, and I decided, I made a real commitment to myself, a promise that I'm gonna make the best effort, and every best effort I'm gonna make, I'm carrying someone else with me, and I want to make sure that I'm doing the best, in honor for that person, which is my daughter. So that's given me the biggest push and motivation to find reasons to be more consistent, be more active, and maybe just sharing a positive message, or showing a project that some people might have thought was a little bit impossible to reach, seeing that someone else, not as big as other bigger breeders is doing it, it'll give them hope to actually continue working their projects. So that's why I really really want to focus the most I can with everyone that's really starting within the hobby, because believe it or not, if I was to give a testament about what I've actually got back, you know, $35,000 is nothing. I've gotten back so many incredible friends. I've gotten back so many incredible experiences. I've gone to so many different venues, and the potential of even more venues that I can participate and go and see, and more people I can meet, and the people that are starting out, that alone puts an even bigger value, and that motivates me even more to keep working those quads, five, six, seven. I mean, like, I don't know, I'm pushing it, but it's giving me that passion, to really see this hobby go all the way through. And I want to transmit that passion to you that's starting out. And don't get frustrated if that first season, you slug out, or if you lose a whole clutch, your incubator, it went on the fritz. There's always the next season, and that's something to always look forward to, I would say. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for taking the time for stopping by my channel again. If you're new and you're watching this live and you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I guarantee you it's going to be an incredible journey, and I would like to take you along. And maybe within that journey, we'll meet up, and then we can compare stories where you're actually at, and enjoy the ride. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you, as always, in the next video.